Good morning and welcome to the enclosure. Thought I'd do a short little video explaining our strategy on the faucets for the bathroom lavatories. I've always been a fan of wall-mounted faucets because it is a lot easier to keep clean, and I also like the look of them. So we're installing wall-mounted faucets where we can on the bathrooms. We have a bit of a conflict on this bathroom because of the venting required by the plumbing system. Now I had thought about disassembling this and elbowing it out with 45s or 22.5s and creating some more room here. But then realized that we've got the depth here to actually build a bulkhead out and miss all of this entirely. So what I've done is I've gone ahead and mounted a sheet of plywood in the area where the faucet's going to be, and then we will just build probably a 2x3 stud wall in front of it around where the fixtures are going to be. So for mounting the fixture, they, depending on where you look, they recommend mounting the spout of the faucet about 8 inches above the counter surface height, unless you of course are doing a vessel type sink on top of the counter. Then you'd have to adjust accordingly. But basically this line here represents where the bottom of the faucet should be. And then I've measured out our vanity will be 36 inches. So I've measured out 18.5 inches, allowing for the 1/2 inch drywall, which is this center line here. And then basically I am just positioning. I want 44.5. That takes into account the thickness of the floor, and I want that to be the height of the faucet base, so roughly there. And then I bring this over to the center line, and then mark the tab. And now I'll be able to screw in the top and then reassemble it, level it, mark the bottom, and then screw in the bottom. So let's go ahead. Just going to check that one more time. 44.5, and if I've done it right, that should be 44.5 right there, and it is. So at that point, I'll take off the spout. These are faucets I got from Graf. They are not the cheapest in the world, but they met our design criteria. Whoops. Make sure I'm not going to hit anything, and I haven't got very long screws anyway. Okay, so now put the faucet back on. Put the spectacles on because my eyes are not as good as they used to be. And then we will mark the bottom. Just realized something. I'm a bit of a fool. It really doesn't matter if it's level at this point because this rotates and it is set with 2 set screws in the bottom. So as long as I'm roughly close, that's more than enough. So now I have to put in the main valve. This particular faucet has a separate volume controller. So it will go something like this. Have to decide on what the distance away is going to be. That's completely up to personal preference. And this one has hot coming in the bottom and cold coming in the side. So I'm going to go ahead and figure this out and then start mounting it as well. And then later on, I'll just bring up the PEX lines and, as I said, build out probably a 2x3 wall, and we're then ready to go at the proper depth from the wall surface. Okay, thanks for visiting. Welcome back. In the end, I decided to make my life easy, and I just used a 6-inch nipple to set my spacing between the two to ensure that I had the right height. I used or that it was level. I used the screw on the mud cap as my center, which I'm just doing up here now, and just measured down from the floor and then the center down to here to ensure that I was centered. And then obviously I wanted to see what the thing looked like. So whenever you're pushing something onto O-rings, this is a good idea regardless of what industry you're on. Give it a little bit of soap. This is soap that came with my cistern, specifically for lubricating O-rings before you push something onto them. And it just protects the O-rings from damage while you insert them in. So basically that's going to be, and there's some adjustability obviously in it. And then the actual controls are going to be something like that. Get that pushed in far enough. There we go. And then boom. So the beauty of these is that the dripping from here, you get a little bit on your counter, but you don't get the grunge around the faucets themselves because the gravity is going down instead of into it. So they're a lot easier to clean. And quite frankly, they look nice. So we're now going to do up the PEX, and I'll insulate it from below once I've attached it to this side. So again, it's so easy with this system. These compression rings have a flange or a lip on one side that prevents it from going further in, and then it's literally just a matter of popping her open. What you're doing is you're temporarily expanding both the pipe and the collar. You give it a couple extra turns once it's bottomed out, push it in, and you're done. That's all there is to it. So that's one of the faucets installed, and because we have this adjustability, I'll be able to put a 2x3 here and here, and at the end of the cabinet, and like I said, create this this false or this bump out wall. So thanks for visiting, and we'll see you again soon. Cheers.